Martinelli has been Mikel Arteta's go-to player, his go-to defensive reliability from an attacking point of view, not Martin Odegaard. But Martinelli has been letting Mikel Arteta down in the final moments when he needs him the most. But now with the emergence of Eze and Odegaard, is it time to drop Martinelli from this Arsenal team? But more importantly, is it time to sell Martinelli? I'm Ty Knight here for TK24 Sports if you're new to the show. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications on so you don't miss a show every time we upload. Let's get into this hot topic, Martinelli. Now, I don't want this show to become the big slag off moment of Martinelli that he's not good enough, he's not great enough, he's not worthy enough of being in this Arsenal team. You have to cast your minds back 2 seasons ago, like everyone else has been doing, or maybe a bit more, when Martinelli has been one of the stand-up performers of the team. But for the good points and also the bad points. And when I say the good points of Martinelli, there are times when he does his kamikaze stuff and you just say, yeah, this guy is the real deal. But there's times when you look at Martinelli and you say, man, I just don't know if he is going to get it. And now 2-3 seasons on, you're just saying to yourself, I think Arsenal have now got to a point where they need more and better players. Now with the emergence of Arsenal buying Eze and then having Ødegaard in the team, it's making Arsenal even better than it currently is with a Martinelli. With Martinelli's raw pace, should I say, that's the one advantage that he has. But when it comes to the final distribution of the ball, crossing of the ball, creativity with the ball, Martinelli just does not have it. Now, we all know that. And I'm not going to use the game against Liverpool at Anfield last Sunday as a case in point of this is why we just need Eze in there over Martinelli. There's so many good points to Martinelli that Mikel Arteta will have a difficult time dropping him from the team. But keeping Martinelli in the team could just be the downfall as to why Mikel Arteta doesn't get the Premier League title or the Champions League to his name. It could be Mikel Arteta's stubbornness and not really realizing that Martinelli is more of an impact player rather than a starting player. What we saw with Martinelli on Sunday was just a case in point of someone who has raw pace but then no actual end product. His footballing IQ, I wouldn't say is the best in the world. He gets into the greatest positions and he still cuts back and then looks for the pass rather than being the kamikaze young kid that he once was and just drive to the hole and drive the ball across the box and look for a player, whether they're there or not, but just look for someone. But what we saw with Eze when he came on, he just showed a bit more urgency, he showed a bit more craftsmanship, he showed a bit more guile, and his head was always up and he was always trying to make that final pass. He put in a few good balls into Martin Odegaard. He skinned Szoboszlai a couple of times. The only problem with Eze, you can only say in that game, was he didn't take the shot when he needed to the most. But that's just only a slight thing. But when we talk about dropping Martinelli for Eze and Ødegaard for them to unleash the magic for Arsenal to actually go and win a Premier League title at long last over 20 years, you have to have that argument and say, is it time to drop Martinelli for Arsenal to really and truly kick on, move on, and go and get that Premier League title? That's the question that everyone's always asking. It may come out sometimes wrong when you say Martinelli's rubbish, he's crap, he hasn't moved on. Arsenal have moved on, but Martinelli hasn't moved on and moved up to get better. And this is where I am today. I'm trying to be more level-headed with this and not try and be a buffoon and say, no, he's rubbish. He doesn't offer Arsenal anything. He does offer Arsenal some good, tangible things that Arsenal need. But that one thing he does offer is just pace. That's the only thing. And now I'm at the point of myself as saying, I think it's just more than just dropping Martinelli. I think it's actually time to sell Martinelli and sell him for a good price, even if it comes in January, even if it makes Arsenal have one less player on the left-hand side. I don't think that's actually going to hamper anything. But the one hamper that's holding this team back is Mikel Arteta's decision of keeping Martinelli, keeping him in the squad, keeping playing him, even in the big games where we know he's not going to deliver anything. And this is where Mikel Arteta and someone above him, maybe an Andrea Berta, has to have that conversation and say, Mikel, I think it's time we let Martinelli go. We have a player now in Eze who can come in and be creative, not just leave it to Martin Odegaard to be the only creative spark. Having two creative sparks on the team while still having a Victor Gyökeres and a Bukayo Saka whenever he comes back, or a Noni Madueke in the team can help Arsenal so much more. But why do you go on Martinelli? And I think this is why, again, the play doesn't really go onto the left-hand side as much. We always cried and say that the team is very lopsided onto the right-hand side. But really, when we think about it, does the teammates actually trust Martinelli on the left-hand side, giving him the ball? Do they trust him to actually do something if he moves further forward with the ball? Because when we see Martinelli with the ball, we do hope and pray that, yes, go forward, charge, 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 go at him. But we do know in the back of our mind he's going to cut it back and then make the pass going all the way back to the goalkeeper. And that's a frustrating thing. When he's one-on-one, the thing about a winger, when you're one-on-one, our job is done in the sense of the teammates have done their job by giving him an ISO, an isolation, on a one-on-one with the right back and take him on and do something great, do something creative, make something happen. With Bukayo Saka, he has 2 or 3 people on him, and he's, 7 out of 10, he will make something happen with that. He'll either cut in, which is typical on his left-hand side for his left foot to get the shot in, or he goes on the inside, or should I say the outside, and make his way and then try and drive the ball in with his right foot. So he's not too scared to use his both feet. But with Martinelli, you just don't know what he's going to do. His head is always down. And that's a scary part. If his head's down, he just runs into traffic, or he runs the ball out of play and it goes in for a goal kick. It becomes frustrating. But what we saw with Noni Madueke, who deputized for Bukayo Saka, who was injured, he had purpose, he had drive, he knew exactly what he was going to do. Kirk has made a load of blocks, and we had a load of corners on the right-hand side. So when people were saying that Noni Madueke didn't do anything, actually, he done a lot. If the corner deliveries were much better, we would have scored more goals from a corner. We would have even scored a goal from a corner if Declan Rice actually had his passing range on that day. But with Martinelli, he's not even giving us a chance to get a goal from a corner or creating corners. And I'm not saying that Arsenal have to become a set-piece merchant with Martinelli, but Martinelli just needs to offer more in assists and goals. 2 seasons ago, yes, we can turn around and say the guy lit it up in the Premier League. But now with Eze, I'm just thinking it's just going to be a better show. And for what we saw for the 15 minutes at Anfield, led me to believe that you have to start Eze and Ødegaard in the same team week in, week out. 70% of the time of the games that's going to be played in the Premier League, or should I say even 80% of the time, you have to go with Eze on the left-hand side. Everyone's always trying to work out which way do you go with Eze and Ødegaard in the team, who's going to be the rightful number 10. But Eze plays majority of his game on the left-hand side, so just put him there. Keep Ødegaard there as the number 10, and then he can facilitate going left or right or in the centre. We have to unlock Ødegaard in a different way. And that's also down to the formation that Mikel Arteta has to do to get the best out of an Eze, Ødegaard, and a Saka in the team, along with a Victor Gyökeres. But my thing with Martinelli, the question I have for you, do we keep, sell, or just bench? And when I say just bench, so the key part is keep him as the starting 11, bench him, or do we sell him? Which one would you rather? And what would you see the formation being if Martinelli was to stay in the team? Is it still a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1? Do we have to get Mikel Arteta and keep on driving the message home to him? Martinelli's actually a decent player. You just have to let the handbrake off. Or is it option B? Eze's got to start. Eze has to start non-stop, no matter what. We have to have Eze. He's going to be a key feature in Arsenal winning the Premier League. So can Arsenal win the Premier League with Martinelli in the team? Or can Arsenal get closer and definitely win the Premier League with Eze in the team? Linking up with a Martin Ødegaard, a Bukayo Saka, and a Victor Gyökeres. I mean, I need to know your thoughts right here, right now. But I'm tying out here for TK24 Sports. Thanks for watching the show. It's been a while. I've been upgrading little bits behind the scene, and I finally put a video where I just wanted to get one out today. I wanted to get your thoughts. I wanted to get your views. I wanted to hear what you've got to say in this situation. Is having Eze in the team better for Arsenal? than Martinelli? Or is it actually stick with Martinelli because Mikel Arteta is not going to change and that's going to be the downfall of Arsenal? Let me know your thoughts. I'm Ty Knight here for TK 24 Sports.